This is Jeff Cross from ISSA, and I have a special treat for you today. I'm going to spend a few minutes with Dirk Beveridge, who's the founder of Unleash WD, a consulting firm, and he specializes in providing guidance and strategies, especially to those who work in the distribution chain, the supply chain. But anyone in business can benefit from the strategies that we're going to discuss today. Dirk is also a supporter of ISSA and a featured speaker at ISSA Show North America. Let's get right to it. Well, Dirk, thanks for joining us today. I know you're a busy guy. How are things going?
Jeff, thanks so much for having me, man. I'm thrilled to be with you. Number one, thanks for reaching out. How are things going? We're all in this. We're all in this together, right? And
that we are.
I have never been more busy, more focused, more creative, I think, in my life. So I appreciate being here for that.
You know, this pandemic we're in right now, it's bringing out the best in a lot of people. So thank you for doing what you're doing.
Can I just comment on that too, Jeff, if you don't mind?
Go right ahead.
I agree with you 100%. And, I really believe that that's going to be one of the good things that come out of this, right? Is the care that we are seeing from each other, hell, within our own families, the more time we're spending together, driving in my neighborhood, seeing dads who aren't home for lunch are now going out bike rides with their kids and the like. I think it's great. And then the support that we're seeing in the business world as well.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of good coming out of it.
Yeah. We often default to the bad, but look at the good. You're right. Exactly what you just said. Let's talk about this recent communication you sent out that I got a hold of. It's called Shift to Tomorrow. In fact, that's the website, I believe, that you've housed this narrative on, shifttotomorrow.com. Great advice for the distribution chain, distributors, manufacturers, really anyone in business is what I took from it.
Me too.
Share a few highlights from what you wrote. And of course, folks can go to your site and see that.
Yeah.
Shifttotomorrow.com.
Yeah. So here was the premise, Jeff. On March 13th, Friday, March 13th at 10 a.m., that's when I realized the world was going to change over the weekend. And that's when we took our business plan and our quarterly strategies and we put it on the shelf. And internally we looked and said, okay, what are we going to do? The world will be different on Monday. And so Bethany Hepler, my VP of design, and I, we talked about it. And what we decided was we needed to do 4 things going forward. Number one, we needed to hug the industry. We thought people have never been through this before. We're going to have to figure this out. So we wanted to hug the industry. Number 2, we wanted to provide inspiration. In times like this, like we just talked about, people are going to want to hear about good things going on. They're going to hear about, the positive things that are going on. Number 2, provide insight because there's no roadmap for this. Is there words of wisdoms that we could provide insight? And then number 4, it's lonely, right? If you're a leader, if you're working at home for the first time, before we got on, I was talking to an individual who was furloughed, right? We're lonely out there. And so let's provide connectedness. So that's what led us for the last 4 weeks. And where that drove us to, Jeff, is this series of rolling conversations that I've had on Sundays called under the banner of Leading During the Coronavirus Pandemic. And over the last 4 Sundays, I've had 29 30-minute conversations with wicked smart individuals, people a hell of a lot smarter than me, on helping us think through how do we lead during this crisis. And it's been really amazing. Easter came at a right moment because it forced us to take a Sunday off. And that pause has allowed us to think about what's going on. And I really believe right now, at this moment, we have to pick our heads up. We've all been looking down, shoring our business up, if you will, shoring our people up to get through this. And I think we've got to pick our heads up now and not look down at the waves that are crashing in. We've got to pick our heads up and we've got to look at the horizon. And we truly know, every one of us knows that there's another side of this. Every one of us knows that we will come out on the other side of this. And I think now is the time to shift our thinking from just leading through this to coming out of this stronger on the other side. And so the entire premise of what people will read in my open letter to distribution, Shift to Tomorrow, it's all about that thinking of let's start looking towards that horizon, and let's start thinking about and collaborating and talking about what we can, should, must do to come out of this, because I really believe we can come out of this stronger on the other side.
I'm sure we will. One point in your article I valued was your commentary on a quote from the publication The Economist.
Yeah.
The quote is this: sometimes change is so vast and dislocating that it's hard to tell disaster from opportunity.
Yeah.
If it's hard to tell us how to do it. What do you think, Dirk?
So I think number one, it starts with a belief. That it starts with a belief that is there opportunity in this? And I fundamentally believe there is. And I think, Jeff, maybe from two different perspectives, right? There's opportunities from an individual perspective and an individual from a company perspective. From an individual perspective, I think, as we talked about just briefly before here, I think the opportunity to reconnect with our loved ones, to reconnect with our families. You and I were just talking about, I love being up at the air, 30,000 feet. I'm not up in the air anymore, right? It's given me an opportunity to spend more time with my wife at home, if you will, and the like. My kids, for some reason, one's in downtown Chicago, one's in Denver. They want to FaceTime with us right now. That's cool.
Communication, yeah.
Right. So I think looking at it from that perspective, I think number two, individually, I think this is a great opportunity for every single one of us to learn and grow. If every one of us, here's a belief I have. I believe that the way business is done is changing right now. I mean, it was changing very rapidly, but with this COVID-19 is going to just exponentially accelerate the way business is done. And we're going to have to learn, for example, how to do business differently. We're going to have to learn to use technologies differently. We're going to have to learn how to interact with customers differently. So from a business perspective, individually, if I want to ensure my relevance to my employer going forward, it gives me an opportunity to learn new things. And I get excited about that. And I think another thing from an individual perspective, it gives time to reflect, right? To really stop and pause and say what's important to each of us individually. So those are some things from the individual side.
Yeah.
I think equally so, there's some things from the business side. There's opportunity in this to really look at the business. You can't see it here, but I have an innovation manifesto on that wall, 34 things that I fundamentally believe. And one of them, talks about there is a better way. Look at your business. And even before COVID-19, every single thing that you do in your business, from your sales process to your picking process to your delivery process to the way you use data to the way you communicate internally, your culture, there's a better way. And I think this COVID-19 is a built-in moment in time, inflection point, that gives us the opportunity to have that conversation in our business that says there is a better way. And let's use this right now to look at everything we do and reimagine how it can be done better.
Very good. Hopefully those watching this will embrace that. We all need to. Here's something else I want to talk about.
Yeah.
I've seen you at ISSA Show North America.
Yeah.
Presented there. You're all over the place. Used to be all over the place. One day you'll be again.
Yeah, there you go.
But you lump the term leaders and innovators with disruptors.
Yeah.
Now, if someone says, hey, you're a disruptor, that may not come across in a positive way, but I think it does. Tell us about that. What do you mean?
Yeah, it's a really good question, Jeff. And, I use the word riff, right? Oftentimes I riff, right? So I bring these words together. What? Leaders, disruptors, and innovators, right? Mm-hmm. First, let's start with the word innovation. Can I start there?
Go ahead.
As an innovator. So, what is innovation? I've been talking about innovation for 8 years, and still today, some people think that this is what innovation is, having to come up with a new iPhone. And it's not. I define innovation as leading customers to a better future for which they are willing and capable of rewarding you. And again, that can be an external customer that we sell to or an internal customer, my employee. Innovation is all about leading them to a better future where they want to reward you. So how do you do that? Well, first, the word is lead. What lead says is you can't follow others, do things just because they do, because then you will not be relevant. You will not be able to capture the value. It says you've got to have the imagination and the discipline and the empathy to want to really listen and understand what's going out in the marketplace, what's happening with that customer, what's happening with that individual that you're calling on the employee. And if you truly have that empathy, what you're going to do is you're going to identify that they have hopes, they have dreams, they themselves want some form of transformation in their life or in their business. And so a disruptor is willing to take that lead and say, you know what, you might articulate that everything's okay, but deep down inside, I know that you dream for something else. You wish for something else. You're trying to improve some area. And a disruptor is going to maybe lead that conversation to say, there is a better way. Let's work together to find what that better way is. And I don't think that happens by following. I think it only happens when you're willing to put yourself out there, have a strong point of view, and lead with a very strong point of view. Admit, I don't know how it's going to get done. You want to disrupt somebody? You want to be a disruptor? Go out to the world with a strong point of view. Go out to your business with a strong point of view and admit that you don't know how to do it. You will disrupt people. Because
get them thinking.
Right. Most people, but most people want the comfort of knowing how to get it done.
Yeah.
A leader says it's okay not to know. We'll figure it out as we go.
Yeah. Run with the concept, I suppose. The idea, the vision.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
Yeah. Figure out, you know, what I use to ground my thinking on that is, you know, WD-40. You know, I ask people, how many people have a can of WD-40 in their home? 98% of us in the States do.
You bet.
And I asked, do you know what WD-40 stands for? WD stands for water displacement. Do you know what the 40 stands for? It's the 40th iteration. They failed 39 times before they came up with the solution. And I ask, you know, the people listening or the people reading, I ask, do you have the discipline and the fortitude? Do you, let's use your vision, Jeff, to have that vision, knowing that there's something better out there, but to fail and to iterate and to experiment 39 times to actually find that solution? Hopefully that's one of the disciplines and the thinking and the fortitude, that's not the right word, that'll come out of this pandemic.
Great stuff. Yeah, my WD-40 is right by my duct tape, which is in every home as well.
I love it. Right on.
Oh, very good. Well, I tell you what, we're about out of time, but one final question. Who's going to survive and thrive coming out of this? Tell us, Dirk, what do you think? Who's going to do that?
So who's going to survive and thrive? I think we all have the ability to, but I think who is going to, maybe this is the same for the company perspective and the individual. I think number one is those with vision and purpose will survive. There's a proverb that says, without vision, the people will perish. Right. And I think in order to survive during this moment as a leader, hell, individually, I need to have a vision for what's to come. You know, one of the questions I'm asking myself and the other people that I talk to right now, Jeff, is when this is over, when this is said and done, what do you want people saying about how you reacted?
Mm-hmm.
So can you craft that vision for yourself and for your organization of starting with the end in mind of how people and your customers and your suppliers are going to look at you and talk about you, how you came through this? We need that vision. And tied to that is we need the purpose. I really believe this pandemic is a human story equal to, if not more so, than an economic story. And so those who survive understand the human side of this, and that grounded in that vision and that purpose is the care and the understanding and the empathy for the fear that people are going through. So vision and purpose. I think number 2 or 3, I think it goes without saying. Those who survive and thrive are the ones with grit.
Grit, yeah.
Those that are ready to work harder, quite frankly, and to figure it out rather than waiting for somebody to figure it out for them. This goes for all of us, no matter what position in the business. As a father, as a husband, right? I've got to figure this out. And that takes a willingness and a desire to work at it. So the grit. And then number 3 or number 4 is, I think those who thrive is those who are going to grow as a result of this. Mm-hmm. I wrote a post. I think I wrote a post.
Wrote something, huh?
Yeah, I think I wrote a post on LinkedIn or something, Jeff, maybe a week or 2 weeks ago, that said something like, I am more excited about the next 12 months than I have been about the previous 12 months for some time. And here's why. Because I know I am going to be a different person 12 months from now. Because in this moment, am I being forced to? I don't know. But those of us who are looking at this as an opportunity to learn, grow, develop, to embrace this disruption and to come out of it stronger, those are the ones who are going to survive. But it takes a decision to do that. You need the mindset and make that decision to do it. So those are some of the things I think.
And the grit. I like that.
Yeah.
You have to have grit.
Yeah.
So great thoughts, Dirk, today. And of course, your piece, shifttotomorrow.com. It's all there for anybody to look at. Yeah. One final thing, the Sunday sessions you have, are those open to anybody, or?
They are. Okay. They are. And so
I saw some comments from some people that have been to those.
They're
good stuff.
They're really good. And not because of me, because I get wicked smart people that want to talk to me, for 30 minutes. And so
I think that's what I did today.
So, that you go to unleashwd.com and there's a link there. I'm not sure exactly where. And again, what we're doing is we're shifting that from leading through the coronavirus pandemic to shifting to tomorrow. So even all of those conversations are about that. Do you have another minute? Can I just talk about that for a second?
Yeah, go ahead.
Jeff, I have to tell you, I have to tell you, the next 3 Wednesdays, if you are in business, in any form of leadership at all, if you lead one person or 1,000, you have to be on these next 3 webinars at 3:00 Central next week. Next week, I have a gentleman by the name of Brendan Deely, who's the current CEO of Banner Solutions. He was the CEO of L&W Supply, a building materials supplier, distributor during the financial crisis of the housing crisis. I wrote about him in my book, Innovate. What he did was he used it as he seized the opportunity to change the rules of the industry. They came, and he's going to share that story and the lessons and how they did it. I think everybody in leadership has to be on that call next Wednesday. The second one is going to be Saul Kaplan, who's the founder of the Business Model Innovation Factory. Jeff, prior to this COVID-19, 85% of leaders in distribution believed that the majority of distributors were using outdated business models. Before this, now think about what's going to happen with how business is going to change, all right? Saul Kaplan has literally written the book on how you innovate business models. He's going to walk us through, they have a process for innovating your business model, and he's going to walk us through how we can use that model at this moment to rethink our business model to come out stronger. And then the third weekend from now is Monty Salzman, who is the president of the acquisition group for Wind Supply. And Jeff, there's nobody who has thought about developing the human spirit, helping individuals grow and develop more consistently over the last 30 years than Monty Salzman. And Monty is going to help us think about how do we take that growth mindset individually and as an organization, so as we shift to tomorrow. And then we got 3 more. I'm not sure what those are yet, but
it's way out there.
It's way out there. But I mean this. These next 3 Wednesdays, tie that with our Sunday conversations. I hope people join us.
Okay, so let's do this. When we are done with this, you send me an email. You got my email address with links for people to get to these. If you want.
Yep.
I'll put it in the description for this recording we're doing right now. So those that are watching it, if you don't see it there, you guys know that Dirk failed us.
I won't. But I also will tell you, we're doing all this in real time.
Yeah.
And so I won't have that link to you until tomorrow, Friday, or Saturday. All right.
But I'm sure those links will be on your unleashedwd.com.
It will be as well.
They'll be there. I'll put that in as well.
Okay.
So we'll make sure people get to you.
Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate it.
All right. Talk to you later. Thanks.
Thanks, Jeff.